120 minutes of football. It came down to a controversial third offside goal to put Newcastle United through to the 5th round of the FA Cup. We'll talk about the result and more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another match review, this time looking back at the FA Cup match up against Newcastle United. It was a replay at Ewood Park. Now we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, FA Cup / Championship related, world football related. We're going to all here under one roof. Now let's get into it. The match ultimately ending up 4-2 to Newcastle after 120 minutes of action, and Rovers crash out of the FA Cup at pretty much the first attempt. So not too great for Rovers, and Newcastle will go on and try to see how far they can go in this tournament. And the quick fire look at the attendance. 14,228 people were there to catch this replay as Newcastle broke East Lancashire Hearts out in Blackburn at the second attempt. Obviously, we came to their gaff and we drew 1-1. The game was then brought back to Ewood on a midweek action, and Rovers ultimately could not get themselves back into the game after coming back from 2-0 down, folks. That's right, Sean Longstaff opened up the scoring on the first minute. It was around about 56 seconds, give or take. A bit of a deflected shot, bundled in the back of the net. Raya really had no chance with that one. Second goal was a familiar sight for me. I think we've seen this kind of goals quite often this season, where a player's come down either side of the flank and whipped a cross in and tapped in quite an easy ball, and that made it 2-0, and it looked game over at that point. But no, the never say die attitude of Rovers, which we kind of sort of adopted last season in League One, where we were sometimes behind in games, and we found something within the team to get ourselves out of it, and it looked like we'd done it. As Adam Armstrong then gave us a bit of hope on 33rd minute with a nice, great counter-attacking bit of play by Rovers. Ultimately, Armstrong putting the goal between Woodman's legs into the back of the net. And then finally, just on the stroke of half-time, Darragh Lenihan with a bullet header from a corner made it 2-2. And from that point on, it was pretty much all Rovers. We gave it to them. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the winner in the second half of normal play, and then we went into extra time, and then Bradley Dack, a substitute for the day, had an opportunity to snatch it, but missed it. And then it came to the controversial third goal by Joselu, which was clearly offside. If you haven't seen the replay, make sure you do so, because it was scandaliciously offside. What's been apparent is the fact that VAR was used in the initial match between Newcastle and Rovers at St James's Park. I think they were even considering using it in this match, but ultimately decided against it. If that was used, it would have clearly been shown to be offside. But obviously, after that goal went in, offside or not, Rovers were pushing out to try and find an equaliser, and then ultimately that led to a fourth goal and game over for Blackburn. Anyway, let's take a quick look at some of the stats here. Total shots on the day for Newcastle, 22 compared to Rovers 13. As for possession, Rovers did dominate possession with 55% of possession compared to 45 for Newcastle. As for the pass success rate, both teams, around about 75% of their passes were successful. We had more dribbles to them. They actually won more aerial battles, 29-24. They also won more tackles on the ground, 24-22. We had more corners, 8 to their 6. Now, how about the starting lineup? So let's take a look at it. Well, obviously, Mowbray actually kind of pulled a bit of a fast one on us, really, with 3 at the back, 4 midfield, and 3 up top, in a formation that was kind of all over the place. And to be honest with you, I was a little bit blind because I did not see it. I could not picture it on the ground. But anyway, Raya was between 6. Bell was at the left centre back. Lenihan was smack dab in the middle, and Ryan was the right centre back. Then we had a 4-man midfield of Bennett, Travis, Smallwood, and Reed, and then Armstrong, Graham, and big fat boy Brereton got his first start, I believe, for Rovers, but ultimately he did have an opportunity to score, but I think there was a bit of a scramble. I think there was actually a bit of a small penalty shout for his effort. But anyway, this is my match ratings, not the greatest by Rovers. Ryan with a 6, Bell with a 5, Lenihan with an 8, Naomi with a 6, Bennett with a 6, Travis with an 8, Smallwood very gritty, dogged display, and welcome back to the team. He had an 8, Reed had, for me, had a 6, Armstrong had a 7, Graham had a 7, and Brereton had a 6. Now, how about Newcastle? Well, they lined up like this. Woodman between the 6-man, Quillo, Clark, Fernandez, Sterry, and then they had a 5-man midfield with Murphy, Roberts, Shah, Longstaff, Ritchie, and Joselu up top. And it was absolute calamity for Newcastle. And I could you can just see between the lines that there is something not right at Newcastle. You can see it in Rafa's face, in his eyes. It just doesn't seem to be anything sitting right. But there was some madness going on, though. Clark pulled up with an injury around about the 2nd minute. And he was actually subbed for club captain. I think it's club captain Lascelles. He came on. And in the second half, he instantly pulls up with a hamstring strain. But he decides to play on. And Rovers had a couple of opportunities to kind of... Because I don't know, for whatever reason, why he wanted to stay on the field. Obviously, I don't know, maybe he was trying to be the bigger man and trying to say, no, I'm bigger than this, I can handle this uncomfortable pain or whatever. But still, he looked like he was hobbling on one leg for about 7 or 8 minutes. Rovers, unfortunately, couldn't capitalise on it. And maybe, just maybe, if Mowbray could have spotted it earlier or sooner, maybe we could have directed Armstrong down that side. But anyway, this was the lineup. Quick look at some more stats for you. Passes, but Blackburn had more passes on the day, 615 compared to 501 by Newcastle. We both had 20 dribbles on the night. As for the tackles attempted, Newcastle had 32, we had 29. They also had more interceptions than us, 20 to our 15. As for the touches, we had more touches, 878 to their 800. And down the bottom there, you can see where all the shots took place. And on the top, on the overview of the pitch, you can see where the shots took place. The blue being Newcastle, the orange being Rovers. There's a long-range effort. I don't know. I don't recall Rovers having a long-range effort, so I'm not too sure about that one. But anyhow, how about the heat maps? If you're a heat map man just like me, you can take a look at where all the drama took place in the 120 minutes of football. For Rovers' point of view, it seems very well spread out. Obviously, the left and the right-hand side in the attacking areas, very key areas. As for Newcastle, the right-back situation seemed to be quite a prominent area, and that would be Steery's option. I think maybe we were targeting Steery's inexperience, perhaps. I don't know. And I thought Murphy was incredible for Newcastle. Obviously, his pace causing us a lot of problems throughout the day. But yeah, fair play to Newcastle at the end of the day. Realistically, I think if we were going to stick around in this tournament, it would just be prolonging the inevitable. I don't think we would have what it takes in our locker to go out and win the stinking thing. I think Newcastle, obviously, they've got a lot of concerns with first-team squad members, injuries, and are they going to bring in any new players, or is this what they're going to have? But ultimately, I think they do have the tools and the facilities and everything to have a better crack at the FA Cup than us. They just need to take it a little bit more seriously than they did today. Obviously, the likes of Rondon, Yedlin, Shelby obviously is injured, but some of the key players were not used today because they ultimately want to focus on the Premier League, and I can understand that. Anyhow, so yeah. Hey, we move on, and we got a big game this weekend ourselves up against Ipswich to try and get ourselves back in the thick of things, in the top of the table. Anyway, as for Newcastle, they will be taking on, who are they going to be taking on this week? Cardiff City at St James's Park. It is on Saturday, normal 3 o'clock kickoff, so monstrous game for them as they trying to get themselves at the old drop zone. As for Rovers, like I said, we are taking on Ipswich. It is also on Saturday, back at Ewood Park. Maybe, just maybe, we can get 3 points. Ipswich come into this on the back of a win. We'll talk more about that in the match preview very, very soon. But anyway, you've heard a little bit what I've had to say about the match. What did the gaffer have to say? Here he is, shortly, talking after the final whistle.
It just seems a bit strange within, the same game, a home game and an away game, where you can have VAR at one and VAR not at the other one. And, I would have to suggest if two teams are not Premier League teams, you probably don't use VAR in the first game. Works wide, it's almost like creates an advantage, I think. And the VAR tonight here would have obviously chalked that third goal off, but I don't make a big thing of it. It is a big thing, because it was a goal that meant we had to go chasing a game when we wouldn't have had to go chasing it. We looked pretty solid all night. I can't remember too many shots from them on the night, apart from the last 15 minutes when we had to go chasing it and left ourselves a bit exposed. But generally a good effort from the team. A team that was hugely changed. It wasn't until this afternoon we knew about Rodwell, really, and Downing. I spoke to Paul on the phone. How was he feeling? He obviously wasn't ready for Saturday at the game, and yet he felt washed out, really, like you do when you have the illness he's had. There's no energy, and so ultimately with Charlie and Derek unavailable. That was 4 centre halves unavailable, and so from having to pick a back three, which we haven't been playing, we haven't done any work on, we haven't shown them about where the spaces on the pitch can appear and how you have to defend certain ways. It was just frustration that we found ourselves playing a new formation and 2 down so early in the game, but we sort of acclimatised to it, got ourselves back into it as you might suspect we could with the spirit in this team. But to lose it in the nature we did is disappointing and frustrating for us, yeah. No, I just said that in there. It's frustrated. I look at the small detail of how the goals go in. We have to be better, but as I said, the third goal is offside. But there's certain things we have to get better at. You can't lose 4 goals at home and expect to win football matches. And yet, in their defence, as I said, it was a totally new formation thrown at us out of necessity. Grayson played 90 minutes against Derby last night in the under-23s and had to sit on our bench. Young Butterworth, of course, is been, whilst he's been suspended for the 23s, has been sitting on our bench. We're a bit stretched at the moment with the injuries and the illness, and Bradley sat on the bench because he was not well this morning as well. And yet I don't like to disrespect things and put 6 or 5 substitutes on a bench where we've got 7, and so we filled the bench up with some young boys and some players who were a bit ill. Yeah, and that's the hope it does, because I don't think you fill the place full of bodies that are no better than the bodies you've got. If we can find the right ones that are going to help and make us better, then that's fine, we'll do that. But even if we have to go to the kids who sat on the bench, we'll do that until the more experienced players get back, and they'll be back pretty soon, I'm sure. Yeah, and Saturday is the most important thing for us now. We have to, I've just said there, you have to recover properly, you have to eat, drink and sleep right for the next few days, get the energy levels back in your body, because you've got to go again on Saturday against a desperate team who need results, and will come and give massive effort, I'm sure, to try and get a result. We are going to have to match that, and then hopefully we've got a bit more than them to try and win the game.
Now you've heard what the gaffers had to say. What did the fans say? Let's take a look at it over on the brfcs.com forum. Lots of people talking about it. I could only take a couple, and we've got a couple of essays for you right here. Mercer said this: well, that was interesting. All my concerns about Mowbray come to light again. Tactically, I think he's a mess. As a unit, we were so loose and wide open, and let's not kid ourselves. Games should have been over before we scored our first. If you play 3 at the back, defenders and midfielders need to know and understand their roles. You need decent players with a football intelligence, and that was clearly missing tonight. Yet again, too many square pegs in round holes. Reed, for one, was wasted in that wide role. He and Travis could be a terrific twosome in the centre of midfield. Plus points, Travis again. Graham, what a moment for our first goal. And Lenihan, negative points. Too many without writing a book. Suspicious about Brereton. Just continue to grow for me. Just what does he offer? Looked for a moment like Graham's moment for our first goal, but absolutely nothing. Didn't realise Bennett was playing until after the half-hour mark. So innocuous and ineffective. As far as Raya, think the lad's going backwards, not progressing or maturing. As for Dak, don't buy this illness story. If fit enough to be on the bench and play a part in the last stages, then surely better start him and get a good half an hour out of him. That might have put us in the driving seat. Few tonight were convinced he's off, but for me tonight, Newcastle just showed how short of pace the lad is. Look 2 yards off the pace. We'd be amazed if a Premier League club was prepared to pay some of the ludicrous fees being mentioned. Very disappointing. Convinced more than ever Mowbray is not the man for me to take us forward. Tactically poor, can't set up a team, poor substitutions, and very poor player trading with Brereton. Looking even a bigger clanger with every minute he's on the field. Well, that's a controversial statement there. And your thoughts about Dak is also, it can, if you read between the lines, it can look like that maybe he's unsettled or something like that. But to be honest with you, I don't buy it. I don't buy that he's unsettled, because he might be unhappy. Obviously, things aren't going too great at the moment for Rovers when you look at the grand scheme of things. But if you just turn the clock back, if you look at the big picture, and this is his first season in the Championship. He's only done half a season in the Championship. And then also with his personal troubles earlier in the season, with the court appearance and all that kind of stuff. Mowbray was there for him. He, if some clubs would have let you out to dry. So ultimately, Dak must, as a human being, must be be prepared to see out at least the season with Rovers and not ruffle any cages or rattle any cages about wanting to move, because of the fact that Mowbray had his back. Mowbray stood up for him in court to say, hang on a minute, you know, he basically sang his praises. So ultimately, I don't see that going anywhere. A lot of people would like to try and rattle this and cause something, but if you're any human being of any decency, you would at least show some loyalty after going through that. But that's another, I don't want to rant on about that because I've got a lot to cover here. Batty also said this, positives to take from that for sure. I'm not a Smallwood's biggest fan, but he was probably man of the match tonight. Travis again was excellent, but he was gone after 90 minutes, put in a huge shift. 120 minutes on the clock, and Bennett is running 50 yards to cross the ball into the box. You cannot fault him for effort. Reed did very well, and Graham and Lenihan also put in big shifts. We were always going to struggle with such a makeshift defence, but on the whole, I think we were the better side. Hopefully, it hasn't taken too much out of the side. We could be beating a poor Ipswich side on Saturday. Heads up, boys. Arbitro said this. I must have seen a different game to some because I didn't see a back three at all tonight. It was Reed, Lenihan, Nyimbe and Bell across the back line for me. Raya is in danger of becoming an enigma for us. His reflexes are as good as anybody, but he's so prone to to elementary goalkeeping things that I do worry if he'll ever stop making them. We did well to come back from 2 down tonight, but ultimately we are out because defensively we cannot concede too many sloppy goals. There are a lot of tired bodies out there tonight and already worried about how we will react on Saturday. Mowbray has some tough calls to make in the team selection. He does. Yeah, and that defence for me was always, I'm still riddled and puzzled by it. I don't know what the heck was going on. And yeah, obviously without Mulgrew and without Rodwell, who put in such an amazing performance in the Millwall game, we were always going to struggle. But if at this shoddy defence that we conjured up, you know, took on a Premier League side, you know, either they're that bad or we are that good, but I don't see us being that good. Anyhow, Rovers fan 99 said this, thought Mowbray got it tactically wrong today, or totally wrong. With his bizarre tactics, he said they were a last-minute untrained choice based on Rodwell's late pull-out, which makes it even worse to overcomplicate it as he did. We were 2 down before we knew it and showed good character to come back before the game hit a lull. Raya made the mistake he did, and before we knew it, we were lucky to only concede 4 as extra time progressed. Raya's obviously essentially cost us the game. Pitiful for the 3rd and should have done better for the 4th. It made no sense to play 3 centre-backs last minute. Bell was shocking, which was understandable. He went to full-back. His horrendous shocking came to a 4. Nyimbe is also never a centre-back in a million years. Lenihan did his best to organise a makeshift defence. Good goal and should have scored another. Not the best on the ball, but he was far better than anyone else back there. Bennett had another shocker. Was handicapped on the left, but he's really poor as right back. As we know, Reed wasn't his self either in that role. Thought Smallwood was his limited self, and Travis was much sloppier than he has been. Still a breath of fresh air. In there. Graham was outstanding once again. Did I see Armstrong in some form too? Lovely goal from the pair of them. Brereton started brightly with a lovely cross, then went back to shite. Couldn't control the ball, make a pass and missed 2 sitters, a header and a woeful finish. Subwise Dag wasn't his usual self and should have scored. Rothwell was, as per usual, a dog chasing his tail without anything substantial in his brief cameo. Conway was poor and Nuttall was far better than Brereton, but never a winger. I would say as individuals there was more bad than good, but there is at least a great spirit within the squad that can make us proud. Oh my goodness, so much to talk about. Thomas Pallam said this over on Twitter. Shame that both games have been a good, well-matched contest and ruined by an obvious offside goal. Doesn't excuse us switching off with endlessly conceding quickfire goals yet again. Talk of Ewood said this. Thought everyone played well tonight, but I can't help but feel for Brereton tonight. Worked so hard, showed promise, but just looked short of confidence in front of goal. And an informed Brereton would have dummied that ball in the box. Meanwhile, Martin Mathias said this. Thought DG was the best player today. Up top, he had a brilliant game and deserved the goal. Travis, a close second. Unfortunately, the best team lost tonight. Bring on Ipswich. Liam Livingston said this. Great night at Ewood with the family. Proper game of football. Rovers have found one in Lewis Travis. Darragh Lenihan, outstanding again. Darren Coleman said this. Can't knock the commitment tonight. They did all the club proud. Rovers till I die. God, it's got so much to talk about. Morris Murphy said this. We are Blackburn Rovers. We are on our way back. Really proud of my team tonight. So unfortunate Dak didn't score. Ipswich will not be as good as Newcastle. Same commitment. We hopefully get another 3 points. Jordan said this. Despite the result, the best team lost on Saturday now. Also, Lee Probert is a... Jack Earnshaw said this. Tell me it doesn't smell of corruption. VAR has been tested all week and was given the go-ahead, and then the officials chose to not to use it. Give every decision against us. Not reward a clear penalty and played more than added on and can't see a clear offside. Mike Graveson said this. The offside third ruined it. Joselu was far offside. He was ordering a bloody pint at the Havelock. Meanwhile, Simon Woodford said this. Very proud of the performance from the boys. The better side lost and it took an offside goal to ultimately win the game. Anyway, folks, that's pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. If you've enjoyed the video, smash the subscribe and also the thumbs up and all that kind of good stuff. Also, check out the description. Links to my other social media platforms are in the Twitter, Facebook, WordPress. It is all in there. Woo! So much to cover. 6 goals in all. Rovers ultimately out of the cup. But yeah, I think prior to the start of the game, I thought we had a chance. But then obviously, as the game kicked off, I just had a feeling that we were going to get done. I didn't think we were going to get done the way we did. Great effort by the lads to come back from 2-0. To make a game of it and go into extra time. I wanted penalties. For the first time in forever, I wanted penalties. Obviously, I definitely wanted penalties when we were losing 4-2, but that was never going to happen. Anyway, we'll go again. Ipswich Town this weekend. We'll talk about that in a separate video. We'll talk about everything later. Till then, thumbs up, subscribe. I am out. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.